we are supported by the collective will of the world.
They wash money.
$1 billion budget.
At 19 years old, I fought for wars. It's awesome. Nothing can beat that.
The largest leak in military history.
Involving WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange.
Of espionage.
He has to answer for what he has done.
April 5th, 2010. The Pentagon doesn't know it yet, but shit is about to hit the fan. Halfway between the Capitol and the White House, a conference at the National Press Club is underway. Assange silently steps off stage. The freshly leaked war footage is finished. The world has seen it. The media, but especially Reuters, now know their journalists were murdered. Gunned down by none other than one of America's own Apache helicopters.
Come on, let us shoot.
2 years, the Pentagon has refused to release the video.
The Pentagon had assured Reuters for years
It's their fault.
that if their journalists had been shot, it was because they had acted suspiciously. Today, we knew they had lied. The truth was out. What happens when someone shows us this truth? And it's so ugly, the world's most powerful government decides the truth will now be the crime. Collateral murder didn't expose a military mistake. It exposed how truth can become a casualty and how revealing that truth turns you into a target. And when the truth disappears, so does our ability to decide for ourselves. This is the story of the United States of America versus democracy.
Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
The man you see on screen is Julian Assange. He is no stranger to the law.
Julian Assange under arrest this morning.
To some, he's a cyber terrorist and foreign spy.
Well, I think Assange should be assassinated, actually.
He's been convicted of hacking in Australia, indicted under the Espionage Act in the US, and served nearly 5 years in Belmarsh, Britain's toughest prison. On paper, his rap sheet is damning. Charges of computer crime, espionage, threats to national security. He's officially a repeat offender, a danger to governments, and a threat to the global order. But who is this man? Who is he beyond this official narrative? And why are the rich and powerful out to get him? Born in 1971 in Australia, Julian, as a teen, taught himself to code. By 17, Julian was part of a crew of hackers, kids who believed exposing holes in the digital world would keep it safer for everyone. After a short stint as an ethical hacker, Julian doubled down on his passion, using technology for activism. He started to help law enforcement hunt down child predators online. He also built encryption tools, authored underground manifestos, and slowly but quietly became a hero in a small corner of the internet, fighting for an idea that truth should never need permission. The year is 2006 and wikileaks.org goes live, a site offering whistleblowers real anonymity and protection. Leading this new platform is none other than Assange himself. Meanwhile, the outside world is sliding into chaos. The world is deep in the war on terror.
And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
In Iraq, the war has been raging for 3 years. By now, 70,000 civilians have died. The invasion that promised liberation now drags on with rising unrest, daily life torn by bombings, and the truth about what's happening on the ground increasingly tangled in government statements and press briefings. Trust is eroding.
Against the war because it's illegal, it's for money, and it's costing innocent lives.
Each new scandal, torture prisons, missing weapons of mass destruction, forces people to ask, what else are we being told? Afghanistan is spiraling. The longest war in US history is quietly expanding, soon going on to its 6th year. with little clarity on what victory would even mean. This is the world Assange is stepping into, a moment when the thirst for real, unfiltered information is stronger and more dangerous than ever. However, unlike traditional mainstream media, WikiLeaks is high-tech, designed by hackers. It uses military-grade encryption and extreme privacy measures, like splitting passwords between people, storing partial passwords on pieces of paper, and using air-gapped computers that were never connected to the internet. They were meticulous about verifying sources and often went to great lengths to confirm their authenticity. Point being, whistleblowers would like it. And they did. And so, WikiLeaks grew and made headline after headline, digging up corruption at the top of the Kenyan government, tick. Calling out a Swiss bank for laundering money, tick. They even went on to expose the strange secrets inside the Scientology organization. But when WikiLeaks started exposing the secrets behind the US and its political machine, the backlash was immediate.
Use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States.
It wasn't just a few big names in trouble. The entire system was at risk of being embarrassed. To the people in power, freedom of information now sounded a bit more like freedom for the people to find out about my dirty laundry. And they would soon grow to hate the website and its publications. But what exactly did WikiLeaks do to anger the US so much that it at one point plotted kidnapping and killing its founder? Well, it all started in 2007, when WikiLeaks got a hold of the operations manual of Camp Delta in Guantanamo Bay. And this exposed US practices of torture and the lack of due process for prisoners during their war on terror. No need to say, the Pentagon was pissed. 4 months later, the most powerful military in the world had already commissioned and received a detailed secret report, which had a step-by-step guide on how to kick WikiLeaks' ass. The 30 or so pages of the report come to a rather abrupt conclusion. WikiLeaks ensures anonymity. We must break it, find their sources, and make examples out of them. This way, trust in WikiLeaks will be gone, and thus our problem too. While some authoritarian regimes simply kill whoever is in their way and ban uncomfortable websites, this still isn't exactly the response someone would expect from the leaders of the free world, let alone any democracy. Moving on from this Pentagon PR nightmare, WikiLeaks was at it again in 2009 and leaked more documents, this time the agency under the crosshairs, the NSA. The leak sparked a public debate on privacy and surveillance. In sum, not a good look for an organization that prefers the shadows. Just a few months later, Assange is adding more documents to the pile of embarrassing US facts. This time, it's the biggest military leak in history. The topic, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Over 90,000 U.S. military records on the war in Afghanistan. This is the largest leak in military history.
And in between the lines, you'll find messy and tragic stories. For example, Shad, a local mother, is driving her usually packed sedan to a get-together. Her cousin, Lena, in the front of the car, is comforting her baby. In the back seats, Shad's 5, 7, and 8-year-old are all behaving for once. During their drive, they approach a US checkpoint. Chad sees a soldier gesture to her. She's being waved through. She keeps going. Suddenly, gunfire erupts. Several soldiers open fire. A Humvee cannon shatters the car's windows and pins all the bodies to their seats. The car, uncontrolled, swerves and crashes into a nearby side canal. What the soldiers believed was a threat, possibly a suicide bomber, was just Shad, her cousins, and her kids. 6 ordinary locals mistaken for enemies, all of which, including an infant, will later be found dead on scene. In the official leaked war log, this event is filed as EOF 6XLNKIA. 2 women, 3 children, 1 infant. No enemy weapons found. Civilian, not a threat. Case closed. And for every story like Shad's, there's hundreds more. Whole families caught in the crossfire, lost to memory. Lives erased not by tactical special operations, but by, frankly, incompetence, confusion, and lack of preparation. Now, looking back, there's no serious debate. What WikiLeaks published was true, and the public had a right to see it. From the start, officials decided that exposing these kinds of truths would never be allowed. It didn't matter that the stories were accurate or that the world needed to know. What mattered was that someone had dragged their secrets out for all to see. WikiLeaks mostly chose transparency, often skipping the safer road and redacting less rather than more. But at the end of the day, this was journalism, no matter where critics stand. It was journalism that hit nerves, made headlines, and rattled the most powerful agencies. The NSA, the Pentagon, and in February 2010, the CIA as well had been targeted by WikiLeaks. And for them, that was it. It was the last straw. And so began the US military and Secret Service crackdown, a relentless campaign to destroy WikiLeaks, and especially to cut down Assange himself. Their strategy consisted of 3 simple steps: weaponize the system, play the leaks, and finally play the man. Step 1. Weaponize the system. The US wanted Assange, and nothing, not even the law, was going to stop them. They weren't going to get him by the book. They were going to make sure the book could get him. So, the Department of Justice got to work. In secrecy, they built a criminal investigation regarding Assange and his breaching of the Espionage Act. Step 2. Play the leaks. Then, the leaks themselves became irresponsible. Not the shooting of innocent civilians, but Assange's publication had put lives at risk. WikiLeaks had blood on its hands. Despite this claim, investigations and reports from the US military themselves conclude not a single death can be linked to the WikiLeaks disclosures, despite their efforts to find one. Step 3. Play the man. Assange was now reckless and the public enemy number 1. He was a narcissist, big ego, cyber terrorist, creep, and weirdo. Rumors of his supposedly bad hygiene spread, and just for good measure, he was also crazy and paranoid. From 2010 onwards, Assange, who was traveling around Europe, happened to be in London for some conferences. Suddenly, he was being accused of all these strange accusations, but most serious of all, he lost a lot of public support when a very shady case of rape and sexual assault in Sweden appeared. Add convicted rapist to the list, and your career might as well be over. The woman behind these allegations wanted to drop them, stating she had been misunderstood, but the authorities took over and kept pushing the case. Julian, suspecting this case was smokes and mirrors for extradition to the US, decided to comply, but would do so whilst remaining on British soil. Saving you some boring legal stuff, Assange was in his right to answer questions in the UK rather than go to Sweden. He wasn't considered guilty of anything yet. But Sweden and the UK secretly joined forces and conspired to get Assange to face the courts in Sweden. Assange appealed the decision every time he could, but in the meantime, he would have to stay on house arrest. After this legal ping-pong battle, the decision was final in 2012. Assange had to face the music in Sweden. On this news, Julian attempted to flee his house arrest and successfully got refuge in the Ecuadorian Embassy in London, a sort of Uno reverse card on the extradition. As a political refugee, Julian was safe from extradition. For now. As time went on, the political pressure on Ecuador grew, as the US was determined to get him out of there. Worst case, they would wait, but Assange was still doing damage, and he had access to the outside world via his computer, and WikiLeaks kept publishing. Waiting was no longer viable, and so Julian became a heavier and heavier political burden for Ecuador.
Good evening, London!
And in 2016, they shut his access to the internet. And worse, a new pro-America president arrived, and unlike his predecessor, wasn't a fan of Assange. No surprise, with this new political support, the US was getting closer to Assange. They managed to get eyes and ears in the embassy via a compromised private security contractor. And soon enough, the embassy was completely bugged. Finally, in 2019, after a total of 7 years of tracking his daily movements and conversations, the US finally heard some good news. Ecuador had had enough. Assange was getting kicked out. The London police, who had spent about £12 million keeping tabs on Assange, finally got the green light to cuff up Assange and send him to prison. What were the charges? Breaching his house arrest bail conditions, awaiting to go to Sweden. The legal battles dragged on. Assange said he was unfairly detained, and the UN agreed, officially labeling his confinement arbitrary. But the UK ignored that, sticking to its own legal process. When US extradition became possible, UK courts at first blocked it, citing the threat that harsh US prisons posed to Assange's health. Surprisingly, this was after nearly 5 years of him living 23 hours a day in a tiny Belmarsh cell. The US promised better treatment. More appeals followed, but by this point, it was all paperwork, not principle. So, why did the US finally offer a deal? Simple. A public trial would have been a nightmare. Bringing Assange to court risked exposing American secrets all over again. It could have turned him into a press freedom symbol and sparked global protests. By offering a plea deal, the US closed the case quietly. They still got a conviction under the Espionage Act, but avoided years of messy headlines. For Assange, facing endless isolation, it was the only real way out. But only if he agreed to plead guilty. Here's the charge: conspiring under the Espionage Act. That's a law from World War I, meant for catching spies, not journalists. What did Assange do? He spoke to a source, Chelsea Manning, got US government files and published them. No cloak and dagger, no selling secrets, just journalism. Getting information, checking it, and sharing it with the public. If revealing government wrongdoings is called spying, then every worker reporting with whistleblowers is at risk. Assange walks free, but at what cost? The plea deal is clean on paper. A democracy quietly signs off on jailing the messenger, whilst the real war crimes go unpunished. Assange himself says he pleaded guilty to the crime of journalism. The precedent is clear. If you expose secrets, you'll be punished, beaten down slowly and publicly. Next time you see a major leak, ask yourself, would you know these truths if someone hadn't risked everything? Without fearless journalism, democracy isn't just wounded, it's on life support. If reporting on crimes gets you branded a traitor, are we really living in a democracy? Or are we all just pretending? The fact that you're seeing this video proves the game isn't over. And if we keep paying attention to the details, the politicians will have to as well. It's not all doom and gloom. Every voice, every story shared, every question asked, bit by bit, that's how change starts. Together, we keep truth alive. If you like this video and want to support the channel, it's free. Click that subscribe button.